hear me? Is this on?
Oh, yeah.
All right, sounds good. Well, good evening and welcome, and thanks for coming out to the August Northwest Neighborhood Association member meeting. And my name is Kevin Black. I'm the president of the NWNa, and again, welcome. Dodged a couple thunderstorms getting here, but it's Florida, so I appreciate that. Before we get started, as we always do, if you can stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Play ball.
I always wanted to say play ball. I don't know. My little league days are coming back to me. So we actually are tonight going to have some guest speakers from the city here to talk about the UEP, something that's probably near and dear to some of us that live north of Tropicana in the next couple of years. So I appreciate them coming out, and they've been working all day. They come out here, spend some time to share their information with you, what's coming, and answer any questions. I also want to, before we get started, recognize the board members that are here, and Sam and everybody. And I got Gary, Jerry, Ralph, Kathy. I got Sam in the back. I got Ed's over there. And who am I missing?
John.
And John just walked in the door. John's the guy. Right? I mean, he handles all the new developments that are coming. So John's like the guy. So thank you for everything you do, and Kathy, thanks so much for always putting the meeting together. So as we get started, the agenda for the meeting is we'll talk a little bit about the NWNa and just kind of share a little bit about our organization that you're part of. And then we'll talk about some new committees that we have and some new leadership in those committees. And then we're going to bring up Bud Creighton to talk about UEP3 and share a little bit about what's coming down the road. And then we'll actually bring John Smart up at the end. And he's got a couple slides with a lot of development on that. And I know it's always interesting to hear from John what's coming next in the Northwest. So a couple of things before we get started. Mark your calendars if you haven't seen it. We're having our annual social coming up November 13th. Thank you very much, Jerry, for all your hard work pulling that together. It'll be, once again, we'll be at the Westin from 5:30 to 8. You know what's really exciting about it this year? Open bar. No more of those tickets. No more of the tickets, right, Jerry? We're done with the tickets.
No tickets. Right.
No tickets. That was a lot. But we're going to have live music, maybe a giveaway, and some other things down there. So if you want to come down and have a good time, have some hors d'oeuvres and a drink and socialize, that would be great. We'd love to have you. Eventually, we're going to have it in the Northwest. But build it, and we will come. All right. So we're getting there. The other thing to mark your calendars, and one of my favorite events that hits the Northwest is the Lighted Boat Parade. And the hard work from Dean and Jan Fox, are they here? Anyway, they do this every year since I came here in 2019. It's such an amazing event. We get about 30, 35 boats. Everybody lights up. People are on their docks, having parties as we go by, and it's just a great time. So December 13th at 6:45, you can go on the NW Cape website, and we have all the information with the route and the staging and all that. One more thing this year is I reached out to the city and to Joe Petrillo, the Parks Department, to talk about involving the city, because we're hoping, fingers crossed, that Tropicana might be done by that time. And certainly the progress that they're making there, it may be, and that might be an opportunity to do for the NWNa and the city to get together and put a little special event on while the boats go by. Because that's going to be the viewing area going forth. And you can actually be able to sit on the beach, right? And hopefully not one of those boats loses power because they might be on the beach with you. So it's going to be, we look forward, and we'll have more to come as to what we might be able to do celebrating the holidays and the Lighted Boat Parade. Just a couple more things before I bring Bud up that are happening in and around the Cape in the Northwest. If you didn't get up there yet, get to Crystal Lake. It's an amazing park up there. Unfortunately, I wasn't in town for the ribbon cutting, but went up there a couple of times. I've actually been going up there ever since they put that sunset mound when you're not supposed to be up there doing that, because the sunsets are spectacular from that thing. So it's just amazing, amazing park, and thank you for the city for pulling that together and getting it done. And with that, Tropicana, if you haven't been down past Tropicana lately, the contractor's making amazing progress at Tropicana. And that's going to be another one. And hopefully by the end of the year, we can be at another ribbon cutting for Tropicana, as I said. And then the other park that's up here in the Northwest, if you go over to Festival Park, I was over there a couple weeks ago. They got all the multi-purpose fields for the most part ready to go. They got the light standers up. I mean, just amazing progress. I think the big ask over there is getting that amphitheater built, which will be fun when they get that done, to have some live music and other entertainment. But it is Florida, so to build an amphitheater, right, you have to actually build it up because we're just a flat state, right? So it takes a little more to get that one done, but good work in progress there. If you're coming up Burnt Store, the Shadrow Resort, I think John will mention a little bit more of that. I think that's one of the first official groundbreaking that we have up in the Northwest of something like that. So we're excited to see those guys making progress there. I rode my bike down to Embers Parkway. If you haven't been down that way, the curbing is being done, and they're getting ready for all the beautification down there. I went down and supervised some of the operations to make sure they're moving fast enough. No. But very, very much going to be a beautiful area, and that's going to like lead the way when we talk about what's coming with the UEP3 when they do the other medians in Old Burnt Store as well with the beautification. So it's very exciting. Chiquita Lock was finally removed. Had an opportunity to go down into the ribbon cutting of that. That's been a long, long process, but now it's gone. For those folks down in the Southwest, they're incredibly happy, and why not, right? It was a challenge for a long time. If you haven't been down, Slipaway Food Park, just an amazing area to me. We were down to check that out as well. If you haven't been down that way, it's pretty cool. I didn't know what to expect, but they did a really good job with that down there. Just another area in the Cape, and what they're planning to do in that area of Cape Coral from Bimini Basin over towards the river, I think is going to be pretty phenomenal in the future, and that's going to be part of all that. And then today, I was kind of online looking at some things going on. Lee County Commissioners today just approved the new Cape Coral Bridge start today, so get ready. Get ready. Go ask your doctor now to put a location over here. But so that's going to start in 2028 is what they're planning. I always say tentative, the way we get hurricanes and other things that happen here. But it's going to be a 6-lane bridge when it's done. So it's going to be pretty phenomenal. But plan accordingly. You heard it here first, right? This just happened this morning. 9 a.m. So you heard it here first. Plan accordingly. Don't come yelling at me in 2028 that the traffic's that bad. So some exciting things happening both in the Northwest and in Cape Coral in general. The city is definitely on the move. Some of the things for the neighborhood association here that we're really focused on up in this area that are happening, and one that's near and dear to my heart is Burnt Store wide up past Calusa up in that way. Sarcastically, I call it the 5.7 miles of death. The people I'm working with call it Death Alley. It's unfortunate that we have to give it that name, but there was just another accident there over the weekend, which was crazy. They had to life flight somebody out of there. And I hear people say, well, people have to slow down, people have to do this, people have to do that. Well, I don't think we're going to change human behavior as much as what we think we're going to do. People are still going to be texting, people are still going to be speeding, but the road doesn't match the other 2 sections of the road. So let's just make them match. When we got our survey from FDOT about what they wanted the road to look like, I'm like, I just want it to look like the other parts of the road. I don't need fancy palm trees and exits and entrances. I just need 4 lanes. So I'm working with the Burnt Store Quarter Coalition and the Burnt Store Marina folks, because Charlotte County has a very vested interest in this as well. If you haven't been across the line lately, you can see why they have an interest in this. There's a lot of homes going across the line. And they've already done their surveys. They come down here to shop. They go to the Publix down here. They go to the Sam's Club down here. They go to Pine Island down here. That corridor is going to get nothing but crazier with cars. And then pretty soon we're going to have Hudson Creek Development, who's already making moves to get their utilities in place. that will be able to dump out onto that area of the road as well. Florida Department of Transportation, they're working on the engineering. For us in the private sector, we'll always tell you nothing goes fast enough in the public sector. So they're thinking 2030. Our goal is to try to push the commissioners and to find the funding to move this up faster. So today at the commissioners meeting, they did just approve, 14,767 square foot tract. Spent $55,000 to buy that for the expansion. And that's above Calusa on the west side of Burnstore Road. So I think they're getting it, but it's time to get the real funding that we need to get that going. So that's one thing that we're going to continue to push our county commissioners, and we'd certainly ask for your help along the way, pushing them to go find the funding to get that road fixed the way it should be, because it is dangerous. We were just through there on Saturday, my wife and I always cross my fingers and have a death grip on the steering wheel that I can get through there. So the other thing that's coming, and will be coming in front of council again, was Burst, the commercial corridor. And that's from Van Buren North to the county line. And I just said about all the development that's going on in Charlotte County and how they're coming down this way, because nothing's going in up there. I can tell you the commercial land up there that they're allotting is little to nothing in some of those developments. So I think it's important. We as citizens have talked about it for a long time, the need for commercial land in the Cape. And then Seven Islands, I think we're just getting that much closer to Seven Islands, to getting that going. That's something I know it's probably the #1 hit we get on the website was Seven Islands, when's it coming, when's it coming? It's coming, trust me, it's coming. And then the last big thing that we're really focused on here is the UEP, and I'm gonna bring Bud up here in a minute to talk about it. But the one thing before we go, kind of skip past it, was the NWNa and what we're all about. And as of today, we have 1,240 households in the NWNA. It's pretty darn good, right? Voting members, 2,071, and we've added 37 new members this year already. And as you can imagine, the way the Northwest is growing, right? You haven't seen it, there's a couple houses for sale in the Northwest, but they're still building a lot more, right? So it just keeps coming. Our email open rate, and Ralph gives me all these stats, and I don't know anything about that stuff, but 70% open rate. So thank you for opening up the emails that we send to you. And hopefully the content, that's what, we're getting that content that you want to see. If we're not, let us know, and we'll deliver what you want. But the industry average is 35%, so pretty amazing, right, in what's going on there. And then our click rate is 14% with a 10% industry average. And I think the last meeting we had, Ralph said that everybody's staying on, what, a minute and 30 seconds or 2 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, on the website.
Yeah, I can't stay on the website for 2 minutes and go. So I appreciate that you're doing that, to see all the content that's out there. We'll continue to build the content with many of the things that I talked about and sharing with you what's happening in the Cape. But the one thing that I did want to share or help bring to light is really the facts about what's going on in Cape Coral. And I know there's a lot of engineers, authorities, experts in social media that know everything that's going on in the world about Cape Coral and every entity that's being built or not being built. My goal is to bring the facts of what's going to happen in the Cape with different projects, so that you have all the facts you need to understand exactly what's going to happen. One of the biggest things coming our way is for those of us that are north of Tropicana, is UEP3. And that's why I've asked the city to come in and talk about what's coming with UEP3. And so I'm going to invite Bud Creighton from the city to come up and share with you kind of where we're at with UEP3. We also have Bill Corbett here, who I've heard speak before, and also an expert in the UEPs that are going on in the city of Cape Coral. So we'll have Bud do his presentation, and then I'm sure he'll be available to answer some questions that you might have. So with that, Bud, I'm going to bring you up. Thank you for coming out. I know you're working all day and you're coming out here to educate us, so we appreciate it.
Are you going to do the new committees?
Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah.
See, Kathy, you have to keep me on task. Oh, so we have a new committee. We did have the environmental committee. We've changed it to the beautification committee. because in reality, that's what we're trying to do with the environment, is try to make it a better place to live in the Northwest. And this is where this committee really gets in with the Clean the Cape event. We're talking about doing a Clean the Canal potentially event down the road, and some of those things with that committee. And Annette is, where's Annette? There's Annette. Annette is our newest committee member. She's in the back, no one. Thank you, Annette, for taking that on, that committee. And we appreciate that. Just a reminder, we are all volunteers here, so thank you for volunteering your time to do that. The Leisure Committee, this is better known as Jerry's Committee. And this is our social event committee, and maybe we'll give them a few other things next year. But right now, it's about bringing us together as a social organization. We are a neighborhood association. So we often get up here and do these things with the microphone, but we are neighbors. Let's get to know each other. And so come on out to the social. And like I said, the details will be up on the webpage to register. So thank you, Jerry. Jerry's our past president. Jerry said when he stepped down, he goes, the NWNa gets in your blood. I can't get out of it. I just can't get out of it. And so, well, take that social thing, because you started it, it's your baby. So now it's yours for the next 15 years. Okay. But thank you. It's a fun time. And then last, we want to welcome Gary Smolinski to take on the Public Works Committee. And thank you, Gary, for volunteering your time too. And Gary's the guy that's going to be working with some of these guys over here when we get to that UAP and some of the other stuff that's going on. And when he volunteered, I think I asked him 2 or 3 times, is this something you really want to do? Because UAP is a crazy thing, and he's up for it. And he actually has a background in it as well, so he's wonderful to have. And thank you, Gary, for volunteering your time. Fancy graphics.
I know.
All right, hey Bud, now it's your turn. Now that they got me back on the agenda, now it's your turn. So once again, Bud Creighton from the city, thank you very much.
All right. Good evening, Bud Creighton, Design and Construction Manager with the City of Cape Coral, and here tonight to talk about North 3.
You have to get pretty close to the mic.
So, just to go over the history of the project a little bit, we advertised the request for proposal back in June 20th of 2023. And unfortunately, we only got one proposal, but it was a good one. It was evaluated and found to meet all the requirements that would be needed. So this was brought to our Selection Advisory Committee. These are the procurement requirements that we must go through on July 11th, 2023. And they were determined that they had the ability, the experience, and the resources to complete the design of the North 3. At that time, the Selection Advisory Committee recommended that McKimmon Creed be awarded the contract, and it was finally done by the Approval Council on January 26, 2024. So this is just a broad overview of the area of North 3. We have the design contract, which with the contingency comes out to $14.1 million. And the notice to proceed was on February 19th, 2024. Once we get through the amendment proposal, we will once again have a firm completion date, but we're in the process of determining that right now. And we are 60% complete for the design that was included in the original contract. So some of the things that we needed to change were the road section. That translated into some potential bridge modifications. The roundabouts that we're adding at Tropicana and Kismet Parkway, and the elevations of our master pump stations. If you look here at the image, you'll see that also included in there is the area which will serve the golf course. So North 3 is anticipated to be broken into 14 lift station service areas. So the lift station, that is the sewer, that is the sewage pump that will serve a certain section of gravity sewer. And what we will do is we'll group these lift stations together to create how these contracts will be broken down for bidding. And we haven't exactly determined how that's going to be broken out yet. But most likely, we usually lump about 2 lift stations together, and we will definitely have a separate contract for each master pump station. This is the same methodology that we've used on the other UEP areas and is currently being done for the North 1 East contracts. We anticipate that we can advertise for the bids in June of 2026, and the assessment hearings will be scheduled once the bids are received. And the goal is for construction to begin by the end of 2026 and reach final completion by the end of 2028. Typically, our contract durations right now are about 720 days per service area. And we just included this because this is an example of a sample assessment for a notice of tax bill. This is something similar to what you will receive in the mail once we get our bids back and are able to determine the assessment and get it approved by council. This is one of the things that, this is where the homeowner has to get engaged, because once we complete the contracts, then we're going to send out a notice of availability for homeowners to connect for water and sewer and irrigation within 180 days. And at the conclusion of the 180 days, the goal there is that our contractor can come and put the final lift of asphalt down on the roads. And if we have all the connections done before then, hopefully we won't have any disturbance of asphalt once that is done. You can perform this work yourself, or you can hire a plumber. You want to make sure that they are a certified plumbing contractor in the state of Florida. And you can research this on the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation website. So the other item that, of course, is important is the fees. And they must be paid prior to connection to city utilities. The city will still install the new water meter. And it is possible to get a waiver of the deposit fee, but you need to get a letter of good standing. And all the exemptions for that waiver of deposit are in section 19-6 of the Cape Coral Code. Finally, as part of this, you'll have to abandon your existing wells and septics. And we need to go through the Florida Department of Health to do that. So a brochure explaining the procedure for your septic tank can be found at the link provided there. And then the abandonment of wells is handled by Lee County, and the process can be initiated by visiting their website. And so this is an example of the roundabout that's going to be installed. This roundabout is the one that will be placed at Old Bird Store Road and Kismet. Very similar to this one, this is the roundabout that will be placed at Tropicana and Old Bird Store Road. So as part of this process, a determination was made that council would like to see the alternative 5 road section. And these are the road sections that you're going to see for Old Bird Store Road, Gulfstream, Yucatan, and Tropicana. And this website here is where you can get the latest news for the North 3 utility extension projects. So I know I just went through a lot of information. So we're here now. Whatever questions you might have. Yes, sir.
Hi, just on that last slide, I noticed that Kismet is colored red, but you didn't mention Kismet. What are the plans for improvements to that roadway? There's a tremendous amount of traffic there. It's the only access to get over to the north part. And
So I did not intentionally leave that out.
Okay,
It is accurately shown there.
okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Just a question about the opportunity of horizontal drilling connections. Have you had any discussions with the design team on that? What I mean by that is connection from the street, angling underneath a driveway rather than picking up the pavers and that kind of thing.
So that methodology is being used in certain places where it's appropriate, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you. One more thing. I'm going to stand up because if you look at alternate 5, the council voted this 8-0 for this. And it's really the survey that we did of our group collectively. It was overwhelming that this was our choice. And just kudos to the council and, you know, actually following our lead on this. It matched also, when you look at the plan for 7 Islands back in 2016, a lot of this was there as well. So thanks to everybody.
Yes, sir.
When they do the update on Old Burnt Store Road, with all the bicyclists that we have out there every day, and all the damage to the road that's sitting there on the edges, are they going to widen the road for a bike lane? So that, I mean, and there's sometimes clubs that go down at the same time.
So just so I understand your question, you're saying during construction, are we gonna have a temporary bike path?
North of Kismet, going north of Kismet, it's narrow. It's
Well,
a
north
narrow
of-
road
North
with
of
issues.
North of Kismet would be outside North 3.
That was quick. This one is separate from UEP, but I will answer the question. So north of Kismet, as he mentioned, is outside of the North 3 area. However, as part of our major road paving program, we are working to install some semblance of a bicycle facility there. We are limited in the right-of-way width in certain portions. It goes from 100 foot down to 60 foot back to 100 foot. So we are facilitating a bike lane as an interim measure until the future UEP can actually construct this full cross-section that you're seeing here.
North of Kismet.
North of Kismet. Pardon me?
Wait for future UEP for that section?
For it to have this permanent cross-section, yes. However, we are installing an interim measure to help facilitate bike traffic up there. So you will see the road be widened as part of our major road paving program. And that's in the near future. That is not North 11, I believe. Give it back to Bud. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Can you review, I have 2 questions. First question is, can you review some of the lessons learned from the last effort to provide these services?
So I'm going to chime in on this one because I have managed the UEP since 2021. So some of you may have lived through North 2 UEP in the Northwest. So you guys did a great job of providing us a laundry list of lessons learned from the resident perspective. We've then taken that and incorporated it into our project plans and specifications to make sure that we address all of your concerns to the maximum extent feasible. In addition to that, we also have lessons learned everyday construction, right? We have impacts to traffic, impacts to residents, damage to sprinkler systems and mailboxes, and all of these things that really make construction uncomfortable for the community. We all live and work here as well, so obviously we take all of that good information and just try to make the next project better. So every time we do one of these, we complete it, we're sharpening our pencil for the next project. We work as much as we can into the specs and try to make every project a little better. Some things we did between North 2 and North 1, making the contract areas a little bit smaller. North 1, if you know, is North 1 East and West. It originally was just North 1, but because of the lessons learned on North 2, too big of an area, takes too long, greater negative impact to the residents. We learned that lesson, incorporated into North 1. Similarly, during North 2, the contractors came, removed all the asphalt from the roads, and then they took 2 years to build things back. We governed that this time. We said you may not remove more than 25% of the paved area in a contract area at any given time. And we track that. So these are the types of things that we've tried to incorporate just to make the project that much better and more palatable for the community. We know it's difficult. Not only is it difficult to live with the construction, but it comes with a price tag. And we want to just definitely keep it as palatable as possible for the public.
And that was my follow-up question. I said I had 2 questions. My follow-up question was, I have no idea what this cost is going to be. Can you explain what number 1 and number 2 were, or east and west? Are they?
Yeah,
what
so,
the costs were?
yep, so we'll explain how that works. So we take the bids, the hard bids that we receive, and we divide it amongst all of the parcels getting utilities, and that's how it's developed. So, with that being said, we don't have a number until we get those hard bids. So North 2 obviously had a lower assessment than North 1 West. North 1 West at this point in time,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You said-
economically, the timing was different, right? So North 1 West right now, we're at the peak of everything. It's the highest assessment. It's not the highest in comparison, but it is one of the higher assessments dollar figure wise. So I know that there's been a lot of concerns, but of course, we were at a peak of economic conditions and construction costs. We've had serious inflation, but as far as the costs that are forthcoming for North 1 East and North 3, we won't know those until we get those hard bids. North 1 East, we'll see those hard bids coming over the next few months, and we look to award that construction contract by the end of the year, and you'll know the assessment for that. So you may see a trend from North 1 West to North 1 East that you may be able to do something for North 3, but of course we won't have those numbers until we bid the construction project.
Bill, if I
Yes.
might mention a comment.
Yes, sir.
Just to talk about the manner in which these are being managed, we at council met, last council, we gave direction to look for the program manager, and what we found was in that process, because we did some UEPs before in the city, we did just stuff with, Primat and Santa Claus.
Correct.
We did those, using a program manager, we found that we could get them in a lot faster. And if you think about the value, the time value of money, if you doesn't pay all of that expenditure that's gonna be in the future, and you can accelerate that by doing it a couple of years earlier, you save a ton of money, much more than you ever would pay for that program manager. So that's one of the things we're looking at to do into the future, to accelerate those programs, bring them back and not have all that escalated costs in there. So that's one benefit that we're looking at now, we changed the whole management of the process. So, and I just might mention, Kevin, I'm gonna say it afterwards, I tried to keep my mouth shut these days, but basically, I've been observing you guys over the last 3 years, and no one works better with the city than this group right here. So echo what Jerry had said and what Kevin had said, you guys are fantastic in support and interaction with the city on everything you do, and I'm appreciative of it, and all the rest of the council is really appreciative. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Just curious if the city is looking at outside sources of funding to help this project. I know it seems like a lot of the things that this project will achieve with respect to, reducing pollution, reuse of wastewater and the like, fall very nicely in the state's intended use plan and.
We pursue grants,
Yeah, so
aggressively.
are you going after SRF funding to?
not necessarily loan funding, but grants.
So, exactly. So we seek grants and appropriations as much as possible. I think we received up to about $36 million so far for North 1, and we will continue to pursue all the grants we can. So SRF funding is indeed a loan. We don't currently use that. We had in the past. However, right now, our finance division, they're pushing us to really seek as much as we can by way of grants. So there's septic to sewer grants, there's alternative water source grants. We've received 2 appropriations from the EPA recently. So we definitely pursue every funding opportunity we can get. Most of those come with a match, right? So that works into our budget, and we put that in our forecast. And definitely anything we could do to lower that cost being translated to the resident is pursued.
Just curious why you don't pursue loans.
So we had previously, the state revolving fund is something that they have they've used in the past. They did it in Southwest 6-7. possibly even in North 2. However, you have to keep in mind that with the federal funding and state funding, there's sometimes items tacked onto that as far as a requirement. So you need to do things like Davis-Bacon wage rates and certified payroll and AIS and BABA, right? Build America, Buy America. These are things that are domestic procurement preferences in our contracts, and what that tends to do is drive the price higher. So if you get $1 million in grants and you up the price of the project $2 million, it potentially isn't of value. So there's certain components like that where we have to make sure that we're utilizing the best resources available with the least stringent, if you will, that would drive that cost up. Now, as far as the loans themselves, other than that additional reporting and those things that may drive the cost up, there's of course the loan perspective of it. Our finance department at this point in time has not elected to take those loans, and we are funding through the mechanisms that we are.
So the project's not bonded, you're just paying for it as you go?
It's bonded. So there's a combination of debt funded by the city, but the majority of it is transportation funds, which is gas tax and road impact fees. We have our water sewer funds, and then of course we have the assessment, and that's what it's comprised of. So no SRF loans at this time. There are other loans, but for the construction, right?
The SRF funding is usually, I work in Pennsylvania, it's at 1% interest, so tremendous advantage beyond, other financing that local governments can typically get.
Sure. Yeah, we can. We'll definitely bring it up with our finance department and have them explore the options as far as how they'd like to fund the project. But at this point, this team here, we execute from the engineering and technical side. But we definitely are interested in reducing the cost of the project overall. So whatever we can do to pass the savings on is definitely done.
Bill, we use our commercial paper and roll that debt over. We just instituted some new commercial paper last year. We hadn't done that for years, and it's a very low, interest rate on that. We're paying like 4.5% on commercial paper to do that. So it's a low mechanism to do it, a funding mechanism to do it. So we roll that over continually to support the base funding. Go ahead.
That was it. Any other questions? Next.
Do you
Yes, sir.
guys know what the criteria was for selecting alternative 5? You may or may not.
So we provided 5 alternatives, and they all had similar elements with respect to amenities. So a greenway with landscaping, multi-use path or bicycle lane, some facility for pedestrians and bicyclists. There were divided roadways presented, path on one side, path on drainage on one side. So there was 5 different options, and this was the one selected by the group. It was supported by staff and ultimately approved by City Council.
So when they put this out to bid, was there any thought given to perhaps bidding a different alternative? Like alternative 3? Because if there's a price difference, say a significant price difference, is that a aesthetic difference between 5 and say 3 worth that money? I'm just curious.
So unfortunately, it can't work in that cadence, if you will. So we're under design now. We have to design all the roads before we bid them. Nothing's been bid yet. So the full design documents have to be completed before we bid it. So ultimately, we'd be doing 2 designs, bidding both of those, selecting the cheaper one, and losing that value by designing it twice. So so generally speaking, this facility would probably be a similar cost per lane mile if you had any variety of the paved sections, right? So you have a divided roadway and a sidewalk off to the side. You have an undivided roadway and 2 multi-use paths off to the side. So pavement-wise, it's probably very close. Now, where you're gonna see the cost is in things like landscaping and the beautification per mile at that point in time. There will be basically core level of service landscaping done as part of UEP, but not any major enhancements, but this will allow the framework for future landscaping beautification as part of future efforts, whether it's through the neighborhood group or the city arborist office.
Makes sense, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
on Old Bird Store, there's also a lot of pedestrians that take walks, in addition to all the people that do the riding.
Mhm. Yeah, so this right here has a 10-foot multi-use path on each side. This is for,
See it from here.
yeah.
The bicycle go on that?
Yes. There, and here's the road in the middle. And so,
Oh, that's the way it goes.
so you have a pedestrian and bicyclist facility on each side.
We're old, we can't see.
Well, and some of the other designs that were put out there, I mean, this one made sense about keeping people on both sides of the road, because some of the other designs were putting people in the middle and then coming off that median where you'd have to cross the road. So safety was also considered.
Yeah.
Safety, aesthetics, and think about like this multi-use path in front of your home on those roads, right? And the landscaping that can be done. So there's a lot of factors. We pushed that out to everybody, the membership, through a survey. But it was a democracy, right? Whatever came back the most favorable, we took back to the city and talked to them about it. And then the city took it to council because it had to be voted on as part of the design project. And that's sort of how that's how we got here. It was a process to get here and come up with what we thought was the best design possible for.
All the rules in red are gonna have the like lanes or walk lane, that's the thing.
Correct.
And I appreciate the gentleman back there. I live on Old Burn Store Road. I try not to walk on it because I'm scared to death of being killed. Because it's it's alternative high-speed road from Burn Store. So hopefully we call it, I'm learning from these guys, right? All the lingo now, traffic calming. So traffic calming device.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, you talk about that,
More than 40, you'll be on the way.
yeah.
Question.
I know.
Yeah.
So, the 10 foot, is that like the Sun Trail on Kismet? So it's gonna take up people's driveways?
So, no. Yes and no. Okay, so yes and no. Let's say that. It's not as wide as the Sun Trail. Sun Trail's 12 foot wide. It will be more meandering of a path, so it won't invite vehicular traffic as much as the current Sun Trail does. Kismet is very wide, and so this is a little more brought in, if you will, a little slimmer. But I will say that you do have the swale between the road and the path. So that is where you'll have your horizontal separation. So there will, just like any sidewalk, it will cross your driveway. Every pedestrian facility will cross your driveway, just like the road does, frankly, right? It's just at the end of the driveway, but it's still a crossing. So you will definitely have a pedestrian facility if you live along those major roads along the front of your property.
I was just gonna say, somebody said landscaping, I'm thinking about all the landscapers, you know, now they've got that median to park in when they unload their mowers and stuff, I just wondering how that's gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a roadside there. Parking on the private property is an option. And so at this point in time, we are not looking to accommodate, frankly, illegal parking in the right of way, which is what they're doing today.
They're alternative 6. They have to find their own alternative. Good.
What happens at the bridges? Are they doing anything there as far as like, are they gonna make the bridges different then, or what?
The engineer's gonna look at the alignment as it's coming there ahead of it, and they may do some modifications with railing on the bridges to accommodate the paths, but that's not definitive yet. That's part of the engineer services that are coming.
So if you're going 10 feet over into somebody's property and then you're on a bridge, then you're gonna meander back down to narrow again somehow, or how are they doing this?
That's effectively correct. At some point, they're gonna have to bring those down, cross over, and then widen back out. Now, the bridges as they exist today are 2 separate spans, right? So you can't bring everybody onto one side. You could bring pedestrians on one side and cars on another side, but then you have a crossing. So our traffic engineers are still working out the details.
Okay, when they do that, how they're putting those, you know, all those big tubes over the bridge, they're gonna keep doing it that way?
Nope, not in North 3. Everything will be subaqueous, which means it goes under the canal. You will no longer have utilities, new utilities. We're not removing anything that exists, but You're not gonna have any new utilities installed as an aerial crossing.
Any other questions?
I know, right?
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Good.
Well, thank you guys for being so nice to us. We appreciate that. Thank you. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Thank you,
Great job.
Bill and Bud, for bringing just a wealth of information about what's coming. I have a funny feeling we'll see them again. As we get deeper into this thing, we'll have them back to provide a couple updates and share with us kind of where they're headed, probably right before they start to break ground. We'll bring them back and get updates. So I was remiss earlier, but I want to recognize Councilwoman Lori Lehman for coming tonight. I appreciate you coming out tonight and meeting all of us. And Councilman Joe Kilrain in the back, and I appreciate Joe coming out as well. They were in budget meetings all day. There's budget meetings going on. There's budget meeting next week, right? Workshop, but I appreciate it. I know what it's like to go all day like that and then come out here in the evening. So thank you very much for doing that. Do you want to have John's slides up? Yeah. So without further ado, we got to bring up the man of the hour, right? The Development Committee Chairman, who's going to tell you who your neighbor's going to be commercially or not who your neighbor's going to be commercially. So he's got all the answers.
How do you work this?
With the arrows?
The public's working? Yeah.
It's been, we were here 2 months ago.
Use the mic.
Okay, can you hear me in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. I always have a problem with that to repeat on. Okay, so we were here, a couple months ago, had a bunch of pictures and talked about all these projects. So they're starting to come to life, but it's been kind of slow the last couple of months. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
This one?
Kevin,
Okay.
if you just raise this microphone.
I'm here.
Then he doesn't have to leave, he'll be right in. There you go.
I'm here for you, John. I'm here.
Oh, this is like a crew.
Yeah, I'm your stagehand. I got you.
Okay, so we got these projects, the top 5 projects in the Northwest, I would think. We have the Walmart Supercenter, which is in permitting. Big story on Wink News yesterday. People wanted to know what was going to become of that area that Walmart, which is across from Bubba's. What's where's the Walmart at? Well, they had a plan in since September, and they've had permits in for the last construction permits for the last 6 weeks, I think. So, but it takes time, a lot of time. But this time it looks like it's finally going to come. The Walmart Supercenter's been around. The idea's been around since 2014, and they had plans, and they looked for permits, and then it just stopped, and then it came back up again, and then it died again, and then it was like, well, it's never coming. We're done, and then it came back, and now here it is, and I think it's finally going to get through because we have the people now. We have a lot of people here. We have a lot more coming. So in permitting, that's what's going on with it, if anybody asks. Another big project, Lake Shadrow Resort. We have the RV resort. We have Lake Shadrow Resort. It's an Airbnb, 7 stories, 48 apartment-like units, which people will be in for, extended periods, for a vacation, as opposed to an overnighter. And they're in construction right now. 2 months ago, they had the banner out there for the construction company, and maybe a couple days after that meeting we had, they started, and you can see where they're at now. If you drive down Burnt Store Road, it's next to the Burnt Store boat ramp. So that's going to be a big deal. And then 7 Islands, that's a big deal. Land use amendments are going, it's not council, it's going before the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I just had council on my mind, so, anyway, yeah, it's going before the P&Z. And it's just minor amendments to, what's going on there to, adapt to what the developer's putting in, and, just some minor tweaks. But, it's alive, because people were saying, what's going on with the 7 Islands? And when they broke ground for Tropicana Park, I had people coming up to me saying, hey, the 7 Islands, it's coming. I said, no, that's Tropicana Park. No, it's not the 7 Islands, but it'll be nice. So 7 Islands, and that's the Gulf Gateway Resort and Marina Village. So that's RV Resort, Lake Shadrow Resort, and Gulf Gateway Resort. We're in a resort area. Good at pumpkin, right? So Coral Grove, they have an amended agreement, an agreement between the city and the developer that goes before council August 6th, which is tomorrow. And to review it, go over it, and then on the 20th, come back up for public hearing for approval. Or disapproval, but it better get approved.
Where is that?
Coral Grove? Okay,
Next to
that,
Bubba's.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's
Next to Bubba's.
next to Bubba's.
By Nayland Road.
Where that little trailer is.
Yeah, where the little, the
Yeah.
hippie trailer
They
is,
moved the
right?
trailer, they moved the trailer 10 feet.
Yeah, they
Right.
And put landscape.
Progress.
Progress.
You know, their land clearing permit was gonna run out July 20th, so maybe they started clearing the land just to say, hey, we started. I don't know.
An extension.
But they're supposed to break ground this fall, so that's movement. Hey, it's movement. I was glad to see the trailer move. And then you have Hudson Creek by D.R. Horton. That's east of Burnt Store Road, a couple miles north of Diplomat. It would be like Jacaranda, and it'll go up to Calusa, just below the RV park.
Can I mean, so that project is to support that huge development that is going to be, east of Burnstow Road.
Right, the,
While they're putting that in, I mean,
well, they're
perfect
paying for,
opportunity to expand that death road, as one of these gentlemen said. I mean, and it's the truth. How many people have to die before that road is expanded?
I don't know, all I know is that, that's a safety issue.
That's a big issue.
That's Ralph. That's Ralph. Anyway, no, we have the, Hudson Creek, they're paying for all these utilities to get sewer and water up to the development, right? They're gonna build a lot of homes. You can see phase 1, 124 townhomes, 398 single family. They already put in for permits for that. Total of 2,542 units. It was 3,500 units before they put in for the permits. Now, it was supposed to be like 1,000 apartments and then 2,500 homes. So maybe this is just the homes part, and they'll do the apartments down the road. I don't know. About 1,500 acres. They also have a permit in for clearing the land. And that's a lot of land, 1,500 acres. So they're in permitting for the off-site utilities that'll go along Burnt Store Road on the east side of Burnt Store Road, from Embers on up to Calusa Parkway, and then in parts over to Chiquita, like down Tropicana and whatever roads go across there. But D.R. Horton, #1 builder in America, and they don't play around. Time is money, and so you can bet that as soon as those permits get approved, they're gonna start moving the ball there.
And that's gonna be Jacaranda to Calusa, or?
Yeah, Jacaranda, I think it's like, well, a little bit above, is it Diplomat, I think? Past Kismet.
But it's on the
Yeah, Jacaranda.
On the east side or the west side of Burnt
East
Store?
side.
East side. Oh.
And it's gonna go, it's a huge area. And there were, part of the plans called for, part of the plans, it still calls for it, is retail and restaurants along Burnt Store Road, a university, at least a building for one, and I just bring one in, or maybe D.R. Horton will start their own architecture. Architecture and landscaping college.
Babcock Ranch South.
I mean, this is gonna be huge, and they're doing a lot for the utilities. And I don't know, I would assume that the people east of the project would be able to tap into some of that when their time comes up, or maybe they can get their utilities sooner. So, we'll see. But right now, you know, that's a big project. Huge impact, Coral Grove, huge impact. 1,200 apartments, phase 1 is like 400. Phase 3 is 400, but that may end up being 400 independent living and assisted living type of places. But that's gonna be huge. Big campus for restaurants and retail, and then on the outskirts, big box retail, and you know, all kinds of stuff, entertainment, things like that. So there you go. Those are the 5 projects that you should be aware of, and I think a lot is going to happen in the next 6 or 7 months. I would have pictures, but
Question.
I think we showed the pictures so many times, it's like people know what it looks like by now.
Is the Walmart Supercenter across from, you said across from Bubba's, also across from Coral Grove, right?
Right, it's gonna be
across.
Bubba's and
That's
Coral
Saddlewood
Grove.
Drive.
Directly across from Coral Grove.
It's at
Yeah, there's
Saddlewood Drive.
a grove of trees, I think that's where the Walmart's gonna go. There's a road, I can't think of, not road, I
Saddlewood
think.
Drive.
Oh, Saddlewood Drive.
Saddlewood, yeah, there you go. It's gonna be around there. Okay. So we got that. Okay, those are your big 5. Keep your eyes on, listen up, it'll be in the news all the time. It's gonna change the way people think about the Northwest. Now here's some small stuff, and like I said, that pile of dirt there by Publix,
Yeah.
between AutoZone and Chiba Credit Union, is gonna be a Chase Bank. So, you know, you're gonna have, look, you're gonna have the Chiba Credit Union, and then you're gonna have Chase Bank. So not only are we gonna be a resort center, we're gonna be a banking center, like Switzerland.
Just like
Wall Street.
Wall Street. Exactly. And you do have a Suncoast Credit Union that they're building. Probably, I don't know. But anyway, that's a couple miles down.
When is the Chase due to open, the Chase Bank?
It's not even
Oh, I don't
out.
know. They're just got a pile of dirt there now.
Yeah.
But you know, the way they move these 6 to 8
It's only
months.
grass and not dirt.
Yeah, I mean, some of these places go so quick, it's just unreal. You know? And then in some places it takes forever.
The gestation period is quite extensive.
So we have that. All right. You have Publix and you have McDonald's, and then you have that apartment complex they just finished, the Springs. And in front of that, you're gonna have a Snappy Car Wash, because there aren't enough of those. And you're gonna have a Wendy's. Somebody just put in a plan to put a Wendy's there. So now you don't have to depend on McDonald's, you go to Wendy's, destroy your orders.
Can we get a Waffle House? I mean.
No, nothing on the horizon. Now, interesting, we have this land at Chiquita and Pine Island Road. Like, I've been doing this since like 2014, right? So this thing has been, plans come and go, and then another plan comes. Okay, so this plan is for, they wanna put in infrastructure, for various commercial, businesses and a convenience store up along Pine Island Road.
Northwest corner?
Northwest corner, along Pine Island Road. Behind that will be apartments. Chiquita Falls, 897 apartments. All around that lake, 6 buildings.
That's not gonna happen. That's my project. That's not gonna happen. We're selling that property.
Oh, are you? Oh,
That's great.
well, that's good.
That's good news.
Well, that's what they had, so.
Yeah.
What's going there?
They didn't get in.
No buyers
So the
yet?
apartments are on a moratorium, so they can't do it.
Costco's always looking.
So, just have
Costco's always looking at keeping it.
Costco needs 20 acres, and they won't go there.
All right, well, so, now there's a proposal, a plan that was submitted for a home improvement store west of Coralina Apartments. You know, you have like the haunch kind of road, dirt road goes through, whatever they're doing back there. And then you have Coralina Apartments, so in between that, Somebody wants to put a home improvement store. Well, you know, you only have so many in the country that, you know, like Lowe's and Home Depot, and Ace, I guess. So they're calling for this pretty good sized home improvement store, and then 3 commercial tracks up front.
Yeah, I thought it was Lee Health was going in there, no?
It's on the other side.
Oh,
Not quite.
Lee Health is next to Walmart.
oh, thank you.
So the home improvement store, so you're like, okay, so which one's it gonna be, right? So you look and you find that the developers are fresh off, they just finished a Lowe's north of Tampa, Trinity, Florida, and they had 3 commercial tracks in front. And when they came and delivered there, they had the plan all ready to go, which tells me, I think it's gonna be a Lowe's, but, you know, we don't know for sure, right? Anything could happen. I mean, look at the Walmart. It took since 2014. This is the 3rd. So, but that would be nice, right? If you get a Lowe's, you don't have to travel all the way around Veterans, lose interest in the project before you find what you need. Okay, and then I was seeing that there's a restaurant and some retail proposed for Diplomat just east of Chiquita. I thought a restaurant, it just doesn't seem right, but you know, hey, you never know. And then I saw an older version, something up there was for a Domino's, which I guess is technically a restaurant. But maybe not, right? We don't know. We don't know. It's just a plan. It'd be nice if it was a Waffle House.
Thank you, yes.
So, that's really all I got. Wasn't much going on. You know.
Thanks, John. Question. Whatever happened to the Island Girl project?
It's, you know, the people that are doing it, they're doing this Liberty, is it Liberty Park?
Victory Park.
Victory
Out by
Park.
veterans.
And that's over by the VA hospital off Diplomat. And that's a huge project. Apartments, medical offices, you know, huge development. So I think they're just holding back and leaving the smaller one for later. That's just on the back burner.
Question, any word about the North Spreader coming up Alligator Slough, cutting across into Port Charlotte Harbor?
So that's a different crew.
Yeah, there's no,
Back
the North Cape Boaters Alliance is working on that, as a group that kind of all live up in that area. And it's a big ask, and so there's no real updates on that right now in terms of what's going on with that. But
They were at
Well, you
the
guys-
Crystal Lake Park recruiting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
You
we're,
asked questions about that.
yeah, I mean, I had them in here.
That was like the number 2 request.
Yeah, yeah, and we had them in here, they shared their presentation, and, you know, we talked to them, and we're still involved, we're still with them, and I still talk to Ray, but we have a lot going on, and it was one of those to divide and sort of conquer type things, so they're actively working with the city, they're actively working with others to try to get that cut done. It's not like we're not involved in it, and it's not a priority for us either, but I'll just be candid, that's a big ask to cut through the mangroves, it's a big ask. I hope, listen, I got a boat down through there too, through Michelli's, and it's a life, taking your life in your own hands some days. Go out on a holiday weekend
Well,
and.
John just did, it's a safety issue.
And I think, you know, and of course, when Golf Gateway gets going, it's gonna get more jammed, but it is a big ask to go through the mangroves, and there's some things that'll have to be done. That has to be a process to get there, and it's not simply gonna be that we can go down to the city council. They're not gonna have, the city council here is not gonna have the final say in that. City staff's not gonna have, you're gonna have to go through Florida DEP, Army Corps of Engineers, you're gonna have to go through a lot of people.
Who's the person to talk to say, this should be focused on?
Good.
Well, you know, what they're putting together, the city's putting together a waterways committee,
Yep.
you know, a stakeholders group committee, and for the first time. So, you know, everything going on with the canal dredging, starting all the way down south, coming through all the way up north. So, they have some people involved that will be talking about all phases. So, it's a good step. It's a real good step. I
Big
think.
step, I mean, it helped the value of all the houses that, in the center, everybody's kind of water lot through that, I call it the Colorado River down by the Jellies.
Yeah,
Water's
there's,
going 100 miles an hour one way,
Yeah.
100 miles an hour back.
there's some plans for that area. We're, nothing to disclose, but there's some discussions about what they would do with that area. But, I mean, listen, it's gonna be a process. That's all I can say. It's gonna be a process. It's not gonna happen in the next year. You know, they're gonna have to go through a lot, right? Cutting mangroves in the state of Florida, I'm not from Florida like everybody else, right? I swear they would kill you if you cut the mangroves here. And you know, DEP would come out and take you down. I mean, really, I mean, it is a difficult ask. I mean, I'm just being honest with you because I don't want to set unrealistic expectations. I would want it the same as what you do. I sort of live halfway between going this way and going that way. And when all things considered, if I'm going to Charlotte Harbor, I'd like to go that way. If I'm heading to Fort Myers Beach, I'd like to go that way. But for now, realistically, it's going to be a big ask. It's going to be a while until that happens.
Any rumors of Trader Joe's or Costco?
Now, the Costco thing, you know, one of the first plans they had for Coral Grove, which was probably just a bunch of engineers scribbling, had in the northwest corner a Costco in a big square. But I asked them about it probably earlier this year. And it's,
30 years ago, they were putting a mall there. Yeah.
Right.
It's filled with trees.
Are they doing anything with D&D Marina? Is that
with the what?
D&D Marina?
D&D, the city has a plan. The city has some plans for that. Yeah. The city's working on something with that. I think it's sort of still in planning at this point in time, but they have, that's part of that bigger project, what I said that could happen down by the Michelli's area. In part, they're looking, they do understand that the speed of the current that flows through there is, I mean, it's dangerous, right? So the plan would be, if you look at what the city's planning to do, the first thing they do is pull the boat ramps out. You ever gone down there, right? And somebody's launching their boat and they don't look to the left and you're coming out. They just back right off the trailer. You throw it in reverse and you hope to God you get slowed down enough and the current doesn't pull you. So that's a whole safety thing that the city's looking at moving those boat ramps out of there and moving them back, farther back into the canal, so you don't have people coming this way while somebody's going that way and this way. And I mean, we were down there, I think it was when they had the barge party, and watched a young kid just completely back it right into the mangroves. And they had to tow him out of the mangroves, and he blocked up the whole area, and the current was running, and it was a hot mess.
Took a car.
Yeah, well, there was a car that one time, and it just floated right past Michelli. So, you know, hey, make sure you put the brakes on.
That's a car.
But I think everybody realizes that, you know, so there is, if you look, when you go down through there, there's a spoils island down there, if you notice that. So that actually can be removed, because that's not technically mangroves. That was put there but man-made when they did the canal. So there's discussions of removing that, because then you're not going to have the 90-degree turn where it's going to come around. It's going to be more of a sweep. It's also going to be safer. I mean, the Northwest Spreader, we have like 3 90-degree turns, if you will, for the most part, right? When you go up by Seven Islands area and that area, I mean, some blind turns. So if we can eliminate some of those, that would be really good. But if we can also spread that out a little bit. So there's a lot of discussions about that area. The city understands it. They're on top of it.
Yeah, more important is a snappy car wash.
Where's Joe? Joe said, Joe, we were at a meeting and Joe said, well, just stop going to them. And you won't get as many of them. So.
Somebody had a question here in the middle. It was a lady. I just, no? Oh, okay.
Do you know what the amendment request changes are that are in front of PNC for Gulf Gateway and Seven Islands?
What was that?
You said Gulf Gateway and Seven Islands had amendment changes in front of planning and zoning.
Something about
Do you know what they're
square footage to match up with what they're.
You can see it online.
More commercial.
Yeah, you can see it.
They're looking at a little more commercial.
Yeah.
I used to work for the city.
Anybody else, sir?
D.R. Horton putting their own utilities, digging their own well, doing their own septic system, or what?
No, they're gonna connect to the city utilities. So the city's really getting a deal there.
Yeah, they're fronting their own money.
Oh, they're very foreign.
Yeah.
Sped that up, didn't
What's
they?
that?
They speed up that process up there.
Yeah, well, this D.R. Horton put up their own money to run their own utilities off the city's system, right, to get going. And so that's actually speeding everything along up in that area. And the folks up in that area, actually we'll probably have the opportunity to connect off of DR Horton's run. So, you know, their assessment may not be what ours is because DR Horton's picking up part of the freight. So to get their utilities up there and get that started. So it's a good opportunity, good for those folks up in that area for sure. But you can see when they put up the map, right, where UEP3 is going to run right up to where all that is going to get going with DR Horton and that whole area. So, and that also ties into when I mentioned earlier about the burst, which is the commercial corridor, because that's why we don't have commercial up through there, is you got to get utilities first to get up there. So, and again, I think the city understands, you know, the demand we have here for some commercial properties and trying to move as fast as they possibly can to get that going. And you've seen it, I think, you know, we were at 28, now they're finishing hopefully at 28. I'm not gonna hold, you know, to that, but trying to start it at 26. But before it was gonna start, just several months ago, it was gonna start in 28 and finish in 30. So they're trying to move it faster. And that'll open up that corridor up through there. And, you know, I didn't even realize that I was in a meeting at the city. There's enough land up there back in that they could put like another Coconut Point if they wanted to, right? And then that 2-lane highway would be perfect, right? But there's a lot of commercial opportunities, and that's why. And I thank you for responding to the survey about burst, because just like we did with the median, we take that down to council and the city manager and the city staff, and we share with them kind of what you guys want to see. This is our area up here, right? Everybody's going to use it, but we're the ones that most impacted by it, that live within that small radius of Burnt Store Road. So when that's got to come back before council again, because there's some property owners up there that are fighting with council about it. And I'm just kind of waiting until that happens, because otherwise it goes in the junk file because they're so busy. But when that happens, I'll bring that survey forward so they can see and see that you want some healthcare facilities up here. I mean, you want some restaurants up in this area. You want some retail locations up in this area that you don't have to keep traveling. And like I said earlier, when you take into account what's happening in Charlotte County with the amount of homes, I mean, they're expecting over 5,000 homes in the next 3 years, something like that, up in those developments. That's a lot of people, right, that are going to come this way. So, hey, if you have a business and they open that up there, that's a pretty good place to put a business, right? I think it'll be pretty profitable.
And one more question.
Yeah.
I'm in Northwest, came up by north of 39th Street. There was a Texas developer that was supposed to put about 600 apartments in there. That kind of went by the wayside, I guess. I don't know whether they were going to get the utilities, unless they were going to try to get it from up Charlotte County, but I haven't heard anything about that.
Haven't heard anything about it? No, I haven't heard
When are we
anything.
gonna go ahead and 4-lane Burnt Store to our county line? Because of, and like he said, they're building a lot of housing apartments up there.
Yep. So as I said, it's a Lee County road. That's not a Cape Coral road. So Lee County has to do so FDOT right now is doing all the engineering.
Okay.
So you can go on and see the public hearings that they're having with that. And it is what it is. There has to be studies of everything, right? That's what they do, right? Make sure that if the snake is not happy, you can accommodate him when you build the road, and, you know, usher him off to the side and build the road. But they have to do that. That's just the way it works, right? And so they have to go through that. Their plan is they're hoping by 2030, 2031, but they still don't have any funding for it. So what we're trying to do, and we're working with our friends in Burnt Store Marina and the groups up there that are neighborhood groups like this one. So we meet with them, and they were actually at the Lee County Commissioners meeting today. This morning, I couldn't go, but they were there fighting today to get that road funded and get it going faster before we see all this come this way. Because if you think about it, it's the perfect storm, potentially of 2030. And believe me, it's my passion. And I may at some point, you might get a message from us saying, listen, write Kevin Ruane and write Brian Hammond and tell them that you want to see action taken to get funding secured for this road. Because even by the time they get the funding, it could still be a couple years out, and it'll take a couple years to build it.
We won't have any hurricanes before.
We went to a meeting in like January for that section of road had it all laid out, they says, oh, you want any input, you got 5 more days. And, everything was done, this road will be $186 million for that 5 miles. So, it sounded like they were there, but so the plans don't have any money.
It's still, they've moved it up to a tier 1 project now to move it along faster, and hopefully it'll move faster.
I was actually at the last meeting, in September, they are supposed to be able to find the funding, they have directed staff to find the funding for Burns Store Road, in their September meeting, so, it is on their radar, they are looking, but I would highly suggest writing your Lee County Commissioners and make them aware that you all want this, because it is hot right now, so please write Ruane and, Brian Hannon and Cecil Pendergrass, write all of them and just say, we need this road done because it's important. I mean, there is just another airlift the other
We
day.
will, Ralph's gonna get mad at me in a minute, but, I have all their email addresses and we will put them up. In fact, I was working on it today. We will, on the resource section, or maybe we'll create a different section or something. We will have all the city council, all their email addresses, all Lee County commissioners, their email addresses and how to reach them, all state representatives and how to reach them, including our federal representatives. So it's just a couple clicks and we'll get you there as fast as possible. So reach out and let them know. I mean, it matters. And one of the things, and I talk about, and when I meet with like Joe Kilrain or some of the council members, they're amazed at that's why I keep throwing the numbers, especially when I know they're coming, right? About how big this organization is. And you know, if you have new neighbors out there, I'm sure you have some, right? If you see these meetings valuable, it's $15 a year, ask them to join, because when I go down and I'm at City Hall, as soon as I introduce NWNa, I'm like, we have over 1,000 households and 2,100 members. Right? I do it every single time. You can ask them every single time. I start my conversation that way to remind them how big this organization is. And at the end of the day, you all are voters, right?
You've been around a long time.
Yeah, and make your voice heard. Make this, you've seen from John and what we put up here, that the Northwest is on the move. It was kind of chugging along a little bit, right? And now all of a sudden, you know, the train has really left the station. It's amazing, once they get the permit, how quickly they go. Like, so once they go, they're gonna go. So voice your opinion, let folks know kind of how you feel as well. We'll keep doing these things. I've been talking so long, I froze it.
See if we click one more time. Nope.
All done.
This secretary position is tough.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're still looking for a secretary. If anybody wants to volunteer and join the NWNa board to help us out, the volunteer position. We got 1 meeting per month that you have to attend. The meetings are usually 6 or 7 hours. I got attention problems. It's only an hour. But we need your help. You're always welcome to volunteer with the organization and reach out to us if you want to help out in any possible way. Like I said, we have a lot of things going on. And let us know what you want to hear. You know, we brought in, I thought the UEP guys were pretty good, especially when I found out they were coming faster than what we originally thought. And like I said before, I want to bring the facts of what's happening, and the best way to do that is to bring the people that are actually touching it every day. They're going to do it to share with you exactly what they're doing and working on. You can ask them questions. So let us know if there's anybody you want to hear from in the city on particular topics. We'll reach out, we'll bring them in. They all want to come. Council members, I think they're fighting outside because I think only one of them's supposed to be here. So they wanted to be here though, and that's a good thing. So that's it. Thank you very much for coming out. Appreciate it.